Oh.
What's going on, Bobby?
Oh, it's just so good to have you on here. As we were saying, I mean, we spoke to each other for about 6 years now or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
Something.
about 6, 7 years now on Twitter. Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. And it's just so great to have you on here because it's like you've been on so much stuff. You've been on so many programs and you're doing films and stuff. You're doing so well. And it's just absolutely fantastic to have you on here,
Thank you so
And
much. It's a real honor to be on here.
oh, thanks very much, mate. Thanks. But one of the things is obviously when you're obviously in a crest of a wave when you're doing particular TV shows and so forth. What made you want to be an actor?
I actually got into acting on a $20 bet in college. I was a pre-law student, and I had done a theater show called Bye Bye Birdie the summer after I graduated high school, right before I went into college, and so I kind of liked it. And then there were these at this college at Stetson University in Florida. Shout out to the Hatters. There were three or four actors who came in as freshmen that were at that point now seniors. They'd taken over the whole department. I was a very swaggy, braggadocious young man, and someone said, "Oh, this theater department, these guys are amazing," and I was very cocky, and I was just like, "Oh man, I could go in. That theater stuff is easy. I just did a play, and I just had no idea really at the time what I was getting myself into. So I auditioned for the play. I was fortunate enough to get cast and work with some really great actors in that cast, and I immediately got bit, and I knew right then and there that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And dropped out of pre-law, and then several months later, ended up auditioning for the BFA Conservatory program at Boston University, which was an incredible school. And the rest is history.
Fantastic, and you kind of feel that it's like when you first do something, it's like you're addicted to it and you want to do more, and you found that obviously, haven't you? It's absolutely crazy. I mean, do you remember? I mean,
Yeah.
doing. I mean, from when you did that. I mean, do you remember like doing your first like kind of TV credit? Was it Putnam Place? It was called
Putnam Palace. Putnam
Putnam
Palace.
Palace.
That was
Putnam
actually
Palace. Yes.
yeah, that was actually the first thing I had ever done once I got into LA. It was a small little short film that I did. A real, just kind of campy, funny take on this small little town in Illinois called Putnam, and just kind of like the crazy ongoings of the citizen. I don't remember a whole lot about the character I played, other than it was just kind of like a loud, obnoxious redneck. I'd love to see that footage though, if it's out there somewhere.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But obviously, I mean, I feel like, I mean, sometimes when I go on IMDb as well, and you look at your first credit and you think, I feel, do you not feel like every different thing that you've been in that you're still kind of learning more things from it?
Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. Every project that I'm in,
Mm-hmm. And it's,
I always feel like I'm learning.
mm-hmm.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I always feel like I'm learning. Like, for example, you were talking about Walking Dead. I mean, I took so much from that summer from
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick Grimes, from Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I worked with him so much. A lot of the stuff that they do filters into my work to this day.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished working on Deep Water, which is premiering on Hulu on the 18th with Ana de Armas and Ben Affleck. And I had a conversation with the two of them, thanking Ben Affleck just for all the amazing things that I learned from him on set. It was really like acting school in a can, is the best way to say it.
Fantastic. Must be a bit of a thrill as well when you work with all these different actors, especially like Ben Affleck and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who, I first kind of saw him in a series called Supernatural, which he was
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah, yeah.
And I mean, he's lost so much weight, hasn't he?
He has lost a lot of weight. But I mean, that's a big thing in the industry. Fitness and health, and
Mhm.
I have no idea, what the reasons for. When I met him, he was already a thin man, so that's just kind of how I know him. So for me, that's just JDM. That's just how he is. He's just hands down one of the coolest in human beings I've ever met in my life. Like coolness just oozes out of his pores. It's insane. Really, really nice
He
guy.
just seems that type of guy. He just seems really kind of cool and just nothing bothers him. He just seems that
I've
type of
never seen anything bother him. I mean, he's a pro. I mean, he's such a pro on the set. No matter what the situation is. I mean, his experience. I mean, just really carries through. Professionalism is a big thing that I took away from him, and Andrew Lincoln too, man. Going back to learning from people on the set, not just in terms of acting and the techniques of acting and working with the camera. But from Andrew Lincoln, I really, for the first time, understood what it means to be number one on the call sheet, and the type of responsibility that takes, and the leadership that takes, if you want to have a number one hit show on television, and the sense of family and community that they all foster on that set. To this day, I've never seen anything like that. It's really extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the scenes in it are very, very thought provoking. If we were ever in a situation like that, and it's quite scary. But but I mean, when you're working with people like that it just kind of makes everything convincing, don't you think? It's just, I mean, see the set that you're in. You must have looked around thinking, wow.
To see Alexandria and just to walk around, because it's not like an indoor set. I mean, it is a place in Sonoy, Georgia, and it is a living community where people actually live. There's an actual living community in Sonoy, and half of that community is just like the Walking Dead set. So, it's funny where, we're shooting and there's, a machine gun scene happening. And then all of a sudden, hold for the UPS truck delivering some mail. Come on through. And, it's.
I'm saying the guy comes with a parcel, and one of the zombie guys will come and collect the parcel from him and give it to the producer. Fantastic.
Yeah, no, they just drive right through and get to the people's house. The set and the crew and production are really amazing, considering not getting in the community's way and preventing them to live their life, aside from lots of machine gun fire and explosions and things like that. So
fantastic. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, it's fantastic how your brain can react to watching something which looks oppressed and looks really scary, and then it's just a job, and at the end of the day for people, but it's great. Absolutely, that's what's great about acting, isn't it? It's fantastic. It's but it's great to be a part of an industry where you could, where you're lucky enough to have been in a part of something like that. I envy you so much, Martinez. Honestly, I envy you, but absolutely fantastic, mate. Brilliant. So, how did you actually get your road walking?
Very humbled.
Oh, fantastic.
I was just saying, I'm very humbled. Thank you, because I don't take it for granted. Yeah. And for the exception of my wedding, and for the exception of the birth of my son, and when I'm around him, the time that I am happiest in life is when I'm on set. So unfortunately, as actors, we don't get to experience that enough. I don't think any actor really feels like they get it enough. But it is humbling to be here. It is humbling to be able to do what I do, especially if it means that I get to touch people's lives and inspire them in any way. So.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I mean, you think about the people that watch that series and that see you in it, you're talking millions of people. Millions. When you think about it.
I was surprised when I saw the figure. I was like, wow, like 19 to 21 million people are watching this show. That's not anything like the old days, like the 60 million that Lucy used to get, for I Love Lucy. But for nowadays, that's extraordinary, especially for cable television.
And the thing is, as well, though, I mean, you've got to, when you think about it, like, I mean, that's a lot, because I mean, it's like back in the days, like in the UK, it's like you're talking in the 70s and 80s, the UK really just had 3 TV channels, and you maybe had some of the best shows were getting like 20, 23 million people. But when you look at like the show like The Walking Dead, that's getting that amount of people, think about how many channels are on television now. Hundreds, absolute hundreds, and some
Yeah.
of them are really good channels. So I mean, that's fantastic. That's absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic.
and that 19, 20 million figure, that was just American viewers. That doesn't even consider, worldwide viewership, which
Yeah,
is
I mean, it's
their fan base is so amazing. The TWD fan base, so beautifully cult like,
mhm.
so ravenously um, following the show. And I know for all the actors personally, because I know we all talk about it on set a lot. Um, just how grateful we are to be able to bring that vision to the screen, and try to keep it as true to the comics, but changing it enough so that there's still, like a lot of fun twists and surprises for people.
Absolutely fantastic. And and I mean, I've got friends here. I've got that we talk about The Walking Dead, or it likes to say, "Did you see last night's episode?" And like, no, don't tell me. Blah 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 blah. And they're just dying to tell me because it's that good. But it does touch people, especially like if there's a really somber scene in it, or something or something horrible which has happened to one of the main actors, or something like that. It does affect you. It does affect you. I mean, I remember that when Negan first came into it, and I thought, oh no, when they introduced us all to Lucille, I was like, oh
Ooh,
no, poor
that was
Glenn,
iconic. Uh,
but
yeah, it was iconic, and they do such a great job on that show. The writers, with really building the relationships, and getting the audience to invest in those characters.
yeah,
It's just amazing. I can't tell you how many people were like, when you died, the fan mail was like, me and my entire family just jumped up, rejoicing, screaming to the heavens. I was just like, it sounds weird, but I get it and I love it, because at the same token, when I got cast on Walking Dead, I was a huge fan of the show. Like, it was my favorite show on television. So to be able to be on my favorite show at the time it was my favorite show was just such a surreal experience. So
it's
surreal.
absolutely fantastic. Really, that's absolutely brilliant. It's great that you're talking about this as well, about The Walking Dead, because I mean, I love the show. I absolutely love it. But I mean, you've did other shows. I mean, you've appeared on like CSI and Grey's Anatomy. I mean, those are great shows in their own right as well. You must have got, working with more fantastic actors in it, and so I mean, it's great to have, like going on to those platforms as well, and appearing in different shows, and but what I would like to ask you is, I mean, was there anyone that kind of influenced you? Like who your big influence is in being an actor? Maybe if you were a kid and you maybe saw an actor and you thought, I'd like to be like him.
As a child,
Mhm.
but before I became an actor, I would say my biggest influences in television and film, Abbott and Costello. First of all, to this day, Lou Costello is like my comic idol. And much of my youth was spent, running around imitating him with like the I have, like, I can't tell you how many DVD collections to this day. I still have them, even though I don't even think I have a DVD player anymore. And then later on in life, late teens, early 20s, especially like when I was going to Boston University, Al Pacino was everything to me by then. The Devil's Advocate had just dropped, and I thought that was one of the greatest things I'd ever seen. In addition to the litany of amazing performances he's had throughout his career. But then once I actually became an actor and started working on set, really just started becoming influenced by the people that I was working around. You were talking about Grey's Anatomy earlier, and Kevin McKidd. He was directing the first episode that I was on, in addition to being on it. So working with him and Sandra Oh, I mean, she was extraordinary, and both of them were so kind and so giving. And I remember on set, Sandra and I had been talking about some other projects she had done in her past, and we had developed a really nice relationship. And we were doing the scene, and we were on my coverage, and in the middle of the scene, she just kind of broke character and just started talking to me as a human being, and I had never experienced that before, and she just, in this amazing way, just kind of like guided me through this scene, just talking to me and establishing this amazing connection. And that was just extraordinary to me to see, people who are, going back, like we were talking about Andrew leaving, being one of these top people on the call sheets. When you have, a hit show, you really want to make sure everyone around you is giving the best performances that they can as well, so that the show can continue to be great. And another fantastic example of just that, going back to Deepwater, shooting a scene with Ana de Armas, and she was so helpful. We had this amazing spontaneous moment that happened on set where right before the take started, I made a joke about a French fry, and we just could not stop laughing. And then Ben Affleck walks into the scene, and instead of ignoring the reality of what we're feeling, we just embraced it and went with it. And Adrian and our director Adrian Lynn and his brilliance, said, let's honor that, and let's make sure in all the coverage that we get a shot that matches that. And at one point I had forgotten, and Anna just immediately jumped in and just got me back into that mood, without really saying anything, just with her presence and her awareness. And I was like, oh yeah, we have to get that coverage shot. And then I immediately just slipped into that little game with her, and then just, my God, he is so amazing as an actor. Just the way he plays action on film. For me personally, as an actor, I'm really big on playing action and trying to affect the people that I'm working with and affect their behavior with my action. And I had never seen it done on that level. And I'm not gonna lie, I walked, into set being like, all right, this is my big movie, two-time Academy Award winner Ben Affleck, recent Golden Globe Award nominee Ana de Armas. I'm gonna, walk in there and smash it up and shine. And just the first take, he was just so amazing, and just everything he did was affecting me so much that I just was not prepared for it. And it was so fun after the onslaught that I took on that first take to go, okay, wait, I gotta work. I'm here for work. So let's get back in there and play with him, and not just be a punching bag. And one of the most incredible experiences in my life. So really fantastic.
I tell you what, thanks for sharing that, because sounds absolutely fantastic. And the thing is, you'll always look back on that as well. Because it's not just a scene; it's a special moment. And that's a really special moment to, especially when you're in the company of like great actors like Ben Affleck, and and it's just, you just painted a fantastic picture there when you said it. So thanks very much. That was lovely. But
pleasure. It's so funny on that point. If you don't mind if I elaborate, I think you really hit the nail on the head with the moments. Not only is that what it's all about in acting, being present for the moments, but because the way films are made, you spend such small amounts of time, with these people. You spend, a week or a few months, or in some cases, if you're a day player, you're only spending a few hours on that set, and then you have that incredible special moment that you do take with you for the rest of your life, and it is magical. It really, really is.
So, obviously, when you described that was just lovely, and it's when especially when it could be kind of, I'd say, quite spontaneous, especially when she just came out on her own, when she just, how she said her lines, or how she and the general feeling of the actual scene, something like that could change a scene as well, which is lovely too. And it's just lovely. You just gave me a nice wee feeling in me by saying that. It was really nice. It was really nice. It's fantastic.
Well, hey, I've been telling you what, I'm looking forward to seeing it. we had the teaser trailer that's been out for a couple of weeks, and the official trailer just dropped a couple of days ago.
Right.
And so I just saw that, and the movie looks amazing. And knowing kind of what we did, in our scenes and the tone of the movie and what Adrian and everyone is going for, I'm really, really excited to see how all that meshes together. I think audiences are going to love it.
Definitely. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll be definitely sharing like your trailer and stuff, honestly, because that sounds like my cup of tea. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And when I see it, I'll let you know what I think of it.
Please, we'll talk about it on Twitter, man.
Absolutely, man, absolutely. But I mean, you've worked with like some fantastic people like Ben Affleck and like you said, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Andrew Lincoln. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Martinez, right?
Okay.
Who would you say was maybe the out of those people, or maybe not just them, maybe other people, like you mentioned Kevin McKidd there, who you maybe kind of learnt more from as an actor, or you've maybe thought, they've maybe added a wee bit more to your arsenal when it comes to, getting on the screen, and
Your audio broke up a little bit, so I didn't quite understand the question.
All right. Who would you say out of, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Who would you say out of the people that you've worked with, say, obviously, we mentioned Ben Affleck and Kevin McKidd and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Andrew Lincoln, all those people. I mean, it could be some like ladies as well. Obviously, you mentioned
Sandra Oh.
Sandra, yeah. So, I mean, who would you say maybe you've maybe learnt from out of those people? I mean, not you would have learned anything, but you maybe think, oh well, he's maybe I can maybe like I've learnt a little bit more from how he works, or you maybe had advice from, or maybe.
That's such a fascinating question, because I can't say there is one particular actor I learned the most from, because all of the things that I've learned from all these other actors, they're so different and unique, and they go to different parts of the business other than just acting. So like, for example, with Sandra Oh, recognizing that because all of this is being edited, that you can break character and just talk to people and get connection back and then flow back into the scene. With Andrew Lincoln, in addition to acting, it was a responsibility that I aspire to be able to have, and to be able to treat people in a family environment. With JDM, so much of it was about how to be able to play and have fun with the lines. I mean, the way he uses his body, Rick, you and your crew, and I mean, the way he moves is just amazing, and so I steal a lot of that. I had the pleasure of working with Mario Van Peebles on Superstition, and my wife was recurring on that show as well. And what I learned from him about directing really opened my eyes and makes me want to explore that, and how a director who is an actor, the way he can communicate to other actors and much more productive. To the way he uses action, he does this very fascinating thing with his eyes. We live in a three-dimensional world, but we work in a two-dimensional platform. So what we lose in television and film is depth. And he has ways of using curvature in his motions to create depth in a two-dimensional platform, to just make even a look more powerful and impactful and dynamic. So it's just so many different things. For me personally, I'm like a sponge, and I every day I'm on set, I'm just trying to learn from everyone. I did an episode of Raw, and I got to work with one of the leads, Modi, and he is his stillness and his relaxation and the way he allows time for his thoughts um, to really play out, and the way he doesn't force his reactions and stuff. So it's just really I've been blessed, man. Every set that I've been on, I've learned so much. I remember my first major prime time project. I was in the very last episode of the original Prison Break. I jump out of a car, yell, "Scream or I'll shoot," or and I arrest Sucre. And the director was Kevin. I was going to say Kevin McKidd. It is not Kevin McKidd. Passenger 57, and his name is now escaping me, and I'm a total jerk for that. But the first day on set, one of the things that he said to me that may have been the most impactful advice I've ever heard in my career is really enjoy and savor every minute you get to be on set, because it's not every day that you get to work. And at the time, I didn't understand what he meant that day. But then 2-3 days later, a month later, 2 months later, I hadn't booked my next project, and every day since, it really took hold. And that's why, no matter what I book, I always show up, like an hour or two early, just to be able to, spend some extra time, walking on the Tyler Perry studio lot, walking on Warner Brothers and, Universal and all these other different places, and just really taking the time to remember, like, oh my God, I am living my dream. And yeah, just hold on to it.
Brilliant, and to have that, especially on your doorstep and stuff, you're so lucky. I mean, obviously, Edinburgh has its film festival, and to me, it's brilliant because it kind of brings a little bit of Hollywood to Scotland, But I love the Edinburgh Film Festival. I've spoken to really great people, people such as Clancy Brown. I spoke to him one time, and he was just a lovely guy. Absolutely lovely guy, and so that's one of the good things about it. You get all these famous people coming over, and even when you're walking in the street in Edinburgh, you're seeing all this. You had like Sabrina Weaver, you're seeing all these famous people. It's unbelievable, it's incredible, But yeah, obviously you've did quite a few roles and different things and stuff. Would you say that there was a particular role that you would love to play that you've never played yet, but you think, yeah, I'd love to play it, whether it's a good guy or a bad guy or superhero or anything that you'd like to do?
I would love my favorite genre that I think blends everything that I really want to do in life would be action comedy. So, something in the vein of Tropic Thunder, where I could be, you can be the superhero, but you can also be the comic relief, and you can have fun. And, in the moments where you want to, you can dive deep into, heartfelt dramas, but then at the same time, just, go completely bonkers and just have a great time. Those are the projects that I would like to do. I'm a big fantasy. I love fantasy sci-fi. As a matter of fact, I have a pilot that I'm writing for an amazing television show. That is a huge like sci-fi action piece right now, and
fantastic.
It's that would be my ideal role. But so, I'll take anything. Just so you guys know, I'll work.
That's fantastic. So, I mean, it's like, that's real interesting, actually. And do you enjoy writing as well? Do you enjoy doing a lot of writing?
It's new, but I am really, really starting to enjoy it. I'm at a point in my career, and I don't know how much of this is COVID, and everything just changing. I don't know how much of it is being a new father and just everything in my life changing, or maybe all of it, but I'm definitely at a point in my life where I'm really interested in exploring other aspects of storytelling in addition to acting. So, I've started writing. I've got a short film. I actually have a pre-production meeting. Today's Wednesday, tomorrow Thursday. Pre-production meeting for short film that I'm thinking about directing. Yeah, I have a lot of interest now, beyond just being in front of the camera. I just recently, during the pandemic, opened up a school here in Atlanta, Actors Habitat. I have 5 amazing teachers who work under me, who are all professional working actors, and I love teaching. I did not think I would like teaching as much as I did. I, for a long time, did not want to teach at all, just because I have so much respect for acting and the craft, and I have such insanely high standards. I didn't want to mucky it up, so to speak, with bad teaching. And fortunately, the response that I've had from my students has been fantastic. My students are actually working on projects that I want to work on. I have a student that was just on Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki, and I have another student who's on the upcoming She-Hulk project. And I was like, man, I'm jealous of the stuff you guys are working on.
Brilliant. You could be you could be your own casting agent, or you could be your own agent, manager or something.
Well, I mean, every actor really needs to be their own manager and their own agent. You really have to be in charge of your career. A lot of people don't realize this, but as an artist, whether it's an actor, a musician, a dancer, a painter, you have to be the CEO of your business, and people forget that this is show business, and then there is a business, and for us to be able to get on the playground and play pretend, there are a lot of people who risk significant financial monies that they could lose and never get back. People that mortgage their houses and risk their their children's college funds to try to get a message out, or to try to inspire people, or to try to create a beautiful piece of art. So we as the artist always have to remember to honor that half of it, because without them, we don't get to play.
Sure, absolutely true. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, this is up to now, this has been absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Good. So what I'm going to do is ask you one more question. And obviously, with you dealing with students, you'll probably relate to what I'm going to ask you, is what tip would you give to any young actor wanting to get into the industry?
You have to work hard. A lot of, I remember when I was in LA, it just blew my mind how many people would wake up and just be like, I'm gonna be an actor today. All right, yeah, let's just do it. And they have like a lackadaisical approach. Even when I moved out here to Georgia, trying to help people with auditions. Shout out to Get Seen Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. The first place I taught when I was out here. They do great classes. They had a young lady come in that was going to tape, and I was like, "Oh, what are you taping?" She says, "Oh, I don't know." I was like, "Oh, who are you taping it for?" She didn't know the project she was shooting for. She didn't know who the casting directors were, who the producers or the directors were. And it's amazing. There's so much opportunity in Atlanta that you can take it for granted. In LA, the opportunities are a lot scarce because so many of the projects have left Los Angeles. And now with COVID and the way the industry has changed now, especially specifically with auditions, you're not getting in the room. You're not getting feedback from casting directors. So you have no way of knowing, aside from whether or not you get cast, whether anyone even likes what you're doing. And then in addition to that, people are just not, because of the way everything has changed, and because you're not getting in the room to meet people, and because casting has more people they can see now that they're putting everything on tape, the competition just got a lot bigger. In LA, they might, hold in-person auditions for a role, and they may see maybe between 50 to 80 people. But you, out of courtesy, you got to sit there and you got to watch all those people and let them finish their performance. When you're watching a tape, if within like 15, 20 seconds, the actor's not right, they can just skip to the next person. So instead of seeing, 50 to 80, they can see 200 to 300. And because you don't have to be at the studio, now all of a sudden it's not just actors in LA. Now it's actors in New York, Chicago, Atlanta. You have actors in Canada. You have actors in the UK. You have actors in Australia. And now casting can get taped from all of those places. So the pool of competition just expanded tenfold. So you really have to decide if this is something that you want to do. You have to commit to working hard to it. You have to study. You have to learn your craft. You have to watch, once you figure out what type of roles you should be going out for, watch the tapes of other great actors. Like if you're going to be a detective, go watch all the great detective movies, go watch all the great, detective cop shows and learn from all of them. And then create your own entity. Don't be afraid, especially when you're first starting out. Do everything. Like you talked about Putnam Palace. Like I didn't get paid for Putnam Palace. Here's a really great story that a student just literally called me yesterday and we talked about this. I always tell students, do films for the local film schools. So like here in Atlanta, it's Savannah College of Art and Design, SCAD. In LA, it's like USC, University of Southern California, Knife, all these other great schools. Because those projects don't pay, young actors like, oh, I don't want to do it. But you have to think about it in terms of the relationships you're nurturing. Like if this is a career, this is a long-term track. And the people that are in film school now, they become the Steven Spielbergs, the Ridley Scotts, the George Lucases, the Alfred Hitchcocks. Like they become the next great directors. So get to know them now when they're young and they're accessible. So I told that to one of my students, and I just got a phone call yesterday, and he said, Martinez, you told me this, and I didn't think it would ever come true. Remember right before the pandemic, I came over and you helped me shoot that little tape for the student short film? The director just called me up. He's flying me out to Los Angeles in May, and he got the funding by a studio, and they're shooting the feature. Thank you so much. Like I'm getting ready to shoot my first lead in a feature film in Hollywood. Fantastic. And it wouldn't have happened if he wasn't willing to go for 2 days on the weekend and shoot a short film for a college program. So please do it. Take all the work. Work begets work. And more importantly, you get to work out your craft, you get to work out your camera technique, and you get to meet people. And that's what this business is all about, making really good friends and making films with people that you really enjoy being with.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. You've just hit, you've hit the nail on the head there as well. It's like, obviously, where you've been in The Walking Dead, and it's like, it's not just friends. They kind of like become, to me, like family, don't they? Like family.
When you're working, especially if you're working on a series like that, I mean, you could be working 18, 20 hours a day. If you're working on a feature film, you could be working on that same film for 3 months for these long hours. And especially for the actors, a lot of times it's these intense emotional scenes. So it's only natural and human to really form these connections and bonds.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, I tell you what, mate, we've kind of more or less covered all that you've been asked. And
thank you.
Do you want to know something? I'm just absolutely, honestly, I just want to thank you very much for just giving us your time to come on, Martinez. Honestly, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you.
And I got to say, I'm really happy. I mean, now that this is going to be my last public appearance, I meam, I'm on Bobby's Pod Blaster, so I definitely made it, and I can hang up the boots and retire. I'm on the top of the mountain, man.
Brilliant, mate. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to, I'm actually going to be looking at the trailer for, is it
Deep Water drops on Hulu March 18th. That's 9 days away.
Okay, and I'm going to send the word out for it. Not that it needs, but I'm going to anyway, because it's been great chatting to you, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. I really am looking forward to seeing you in it, obviously. So that'll be good.
Well, thank you. I got to say, personally, the person I'm most excited about for this movie to drop is our director, Adrian Lin. This is his first movie back in 20 years. I mean, Academy Award winner. He's truly, truly an amazing director. And I'm really happy that he's able to bring this genre of movie back. It's been 20 years since we've seen the sexual thriller, or the erotic thriller, I should say,
Mhm.
more specifically. And it's just got a lot of great twists and turns. It's got some amazing characters, and it's going to be really great.
Fantastic. Well, absolutely. Honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Honestly, I'm going to have to see it now. So I'm looking forward to it. But listen, Martinez, thanks so much for coming on here and, telling us like lots of nice stories and about your time on different things. And it's just great chatting to you. And it's great actually chatting to you after 6 years.
Really? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it is nice to actually hear the voice, man. I have to say, I prefer your voice over your written tweets. Your accent is amazing.
Oh,
So
no problem. Well, listen, thanks very much for coming on, Martinez. And listen, we'll keep in touch and stuff. And, let me know what you're on and, and so forth. And it's just great having you on here, honestly. So listen, good luck with the film and hopefully speak to you again soon.
absolutely, Bobby. Thank you so much. I appreciate being on. Thank
No
you.
problem, mate. You take care of yourself, okay? Bye for now.